You know what? I have no doubt that this episode is going to be one of those that can benefit everyone, and probably us a lot too.
Well, you can never have too much of the kind of information we're going to hear on the episode today.
And this information is
maximizing and getting the best out of using social media for personal and business branding.
Oh yeah, that'll be good. Hi, everyone. Hope you've been having a wonderfully creative week. I'm Rod Jones, and we celebrate what people love to do creatively by giving them a voice so you can learn and be motivated from their life's experiences.
And I'm Angie Jones. Welcome to Thought Row Podcast. We invite you to subscribe wherever you listen, and we focus on sharing with everyone how they can think, be, and live more creatively with their own passions.
Okay, so how about tell us who this wonderful guest is going to be?
Okay, our guest today is Carol Steffen. She's the owner and creative director of Your Social Media Works. She's a digital and communications-based specialist, creating online media and implementing strategies to help people succeed in their use of social media.
You know, as I think about that, these days, it's all about branding yourself, right? And celebrating your products or your business and letting everybody know about it. But how about you kicking off with a motivational quote? And I suspect, or I'm hoping, that it'll definitely reflect the episode that we're about to talk about.
Well, no pressure here, right? Oh my gosh, right, Rod?
Well, you know what? Based on all the other great quotes that you've managed to present, I'm highly confident that you can do this one. It'll be right on target.
Well, I did pick out I like this quote a lot, and I hope you guys will too. And I think it will resonate with everyone as well. And here it is. A large social media presence is important because it's one of the last ways to conduct cost-effective marketing. Everything else involves buying eyeballs and ears. Social media enables small businesses to earn eyeballs and ears. And that quote is by Guy Kawasaki.
The master.
He is a master, and I am not surprised you would say that because he's so in tune with everything.
He's just really good at that, and I mean, he knows it. He knows it inside out. And by the way, he has a fabulous podcast, so you might want to tune into that. You couldn't have done. I don't think you could have come up with a better quote than that one.
I'm glad you like it. Well, I think it's time for us to go on to our interview. So let's make it happen and bring on Carol Steffen.
Hi, Carol. I know Angie and I know probably everyone listening to this podcast really want to know how they can do a better job on social media, especially me. And you are just exactly the right person for us to chat with.
Yes. Hi, Carol. We're so excited to talk with you today and get some of your pro advice.
Yeah, pro advice. That's what we're looking for.
Hi there. I'm just so happy you invited me. For everybody listening, I'm Carol, and I'm a social media consultant. So what that means is I engage online on behalf of my clients, and they're generally small to medium-sized businesses, and they don't have any social media person dedicated in-house. So I help them figure out what they want, and then I research and write and post online for them. So that sometimes that means blogging or
that's exactly why you have with us today. So so everybody could kind of learn a little bit from your experience and your knowledge in that area.
Yeah, and what we're doing wrong.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here and excited to talk with you.
Oh, great. But before we officially start the interview, we always ask our guests what they had for breakfast. So Carol, what did you have this morning?
Okay. Today I had a frittata with vegetables, which I generally make maybe once a week. Mm-hmm. And then I cut it up and I have it for multiple days so that it lasts a little bit. I figure if I don't get veggies in the morning, it's not going to happen at all.
Well, you get it first thing in the morning and you get your protein, so you're in good shape.
Yeah, that's a good breakfast.
Yeah, it's a very good breakfast.
Healthy breakfast.
Sounds good.
And of course, coffee.
Yes.
Goes without saying almost.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Pretty much.
Love it.
So, Carol, why don't you tell us where you're originally from and where you grew up?
I was born in Tokyo, Japan, and then we lived there. My whole family lived there, of course. And then we moved to the San Francisco Bay Area after traveling for a year. We traveled around the world because my dad worked for Pan Am back in the day.
Oh, nice. Oh, my goodness.
It's a great airline.
Such a great airline.
Oh, my gosh. It was back in the days when it was glamorous still. And, everybody would dress up and nobody was wearing pajamas and flip-flops. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, yeah. Those were the days, right? The grand traveling that you would do back then.
Yeah, and the real cutlery and real glasses. And it was really something else.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, I miss that.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Now,
so ever since then, I've lived in the San Francisco Bay Area, and so has my family.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you said you guys lived, because of your father's occupation, you lived relatively close to the airport, right?
Yes. So my dad needed to be able to commute to SFO, San Francisco Airport.
Mm-hmm.
So, we were always like about 20, 25 minutes away from the airport.
Oh, that's great.
Well, that's convenient for your dad.
Yeah, convenient.
Yeah.
So do you have any favorite childhood memories as you were growing up?
It's hard to narrow down my memories, but I do remember standing on top of a mountain in Switzerland when I was 3 years old, and we had gone up a ski lift,
mm-hmm.
and there was snow everywhere and just mountains for as far as you could see. And it was a beautiful sight, and probably the first time I'd ever seen that much snow and mountains like that. So I would say that was it.
Well, it was probably so majestic. That's why it made such an impression.
Especially there.
Yeah.
It's not exactly like California mountains. I mean, those are pretty majestic.
They are very majestic, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, that was really incredible.
Okay, so now we're going to fast forward to current day. And how did you end up pursuing a career as a social media consultant, Carol?
Before I was doing the social media, I was a professional organizer and I did all my own marketing. So I was blogging and posting, and I made some pretty bad videos, I have to say. So my friends saw what I was doing and they needed lots of help too. So, in the beginning, it was just fun to help people, and I was doing it for free, just helping other people.
Mm-hmm.
And then around 2008, I think, the market crashed. So I was looking for another career, and I knew then that social media was going to take off, even though a lot of people didn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
But, look what's happened.
Yeah,
since then.
You were right.
You were right where it's just started evolving. That was where MySpace and Twitter and all that started just kind of.
A good time to start.
Yes.
Because now starting now is much more difficult.
Yeah.
It is much more difficult. So, I really loved meeting people online, and, in the early days, it was just fun and exciting being in the Bay Area and being an early adopter.
Well, it's kind of a tech center there too, right?
It really is.
It really is, being near Stanford, and then, all the social media platforms pretty much started here in the Bay Area.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So, some people question, and I don't because I use it all the time, but some people do question the value of social media as a good form for brand building. Mm-hmm. What do you tell them? So you're right in the trenches when it comes to this sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So what do you tell them when they go, I don't know if I want to do this. Is it really going to help my brand? What do you say?
Well, I heard that a lot more around 2009, 2010, but now it's pretty hard to deny the power of social media. Back in the day, you wouldn't look old-fashioned if you didn't want to be on Facebook or Instagram or online anywhere. But now, nobody wants to be labeled a Luddite.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
So true.
And people are finding businesses online now. So, I really think that people should start their social media even before they open their doors.
Oh, that's a good point.
Start branding. And my oldest client, I've been with her for over 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
She started before they even had a product, and we're still going strong. So
and now,
I really love that.
Now they have a product, and you're educating consumers about her product. Is that correct?
Yes, and they have a huge audience because we got started right in the beginning.
Mm.
Oh, so when they make a post, they actually have eyes and ears.
Yes, exactly. I mean, starting now, as you said, it's a lot more difficult.
But it can be done?
It can be done. It can be done.
And what would be a good strategy for someone who's decided to leave Yellow Pages and go on
and start on their social media
track?
Well, I've started new accounts even now. I have one account, for example, Women in Construction, that I've worked on with a client. But, it's a pretty new account, and we're growing like crazy. And I think one of the reasons we're growing so fast is that we're so generous.
Oh, okay.
So when you say we're generous, what do you mean exactly by that?
We are sharing other people's posts, articles, and congratulating people when something positive happens to them.
Mm-hmm.
And we say very, very little about ourselves.
Okay.
So you're being interactive.
Being very engaging and interactive with people and talking to everybody.
See, that's really interesting because you'll see certain people that say, oh, follow my page on Facebook, and all they do is post commercials about their product.
No, that's not the way to do it at all.
Yeah. So you need, instead of just posting all about you all the time, it needs to be more social and more engaging for people that are on your page.
Don't make it about yourself. Make it about the other people, and then they'll want to know about you.
Mm-hmm.
We have a saying around here, and I'm sure we didn't come up with this saying, but we've used it quite a bit in our posts. And it's, if you want to become more successful, make others become more successful first.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. It's a power of, law of attraction.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is, isn't it?
Yeah. I love that.
But I like your strategy there. I think that's what works nowadays.
Yeah, and that account, because of that, people are just joining like crazy. We get tons of new followers every day.
Well, that's
what you want. So
that was worth having you on this podcast right off the bat. I wrote that down. Did you?
Lesson learned number 1, right? From Carol.
Okay.
We've noticed though, a lot of people spend most of their time on one social media platform because that's where they feel like they're getting the best results. Is that a good strategy or an idea, Carol?
I hate to say it depends, but it depends.
Okay.
For example, my brother was a plumber and he got all his leads through Yelp.
Really? Okay.
And he wasn't anywhere else. But I think we're moving more towards being online. And so although Yelp, Google, and Nextdoor are more important than they ever were before, right. I think that it's good to have at least a little bit of a presence on some of the biggest platforms. Facebook is the one you just can't ignore.
Yeah.
Right.
Because everybody's there.
And what about if you're an artist? That's very visual.
If you're more visual, Instagram is good. Twitter's probably not as good if you're an artist, although artists still can post their work. It's not as easy. Pinterest is good if you're an artist. That each platform has a different thing to offer.
Okay. That makes sense, really.
Well, it's visual, right?
Yeah. So find what fits your niche, what you're doing.
And Pinterest is actually, I would think, is pretty good about that because people look at that constantly because they're looking at pictures.
Right.
Yes. It's very visual.
Right now, TikTok seems to be a big favorite. It's kind of all the rage, at least that's what we hear about it. And I have to admit, it can be very addicting, although I don't know that I spent much time on there. But I think it works for people that have short attention spans. In fact, we had a conversation with somebody the other day that said, I just love it because I can't hold on to anything for longer than 10 seconds. So it really worked for them. But I'm not so sure how healthy that really is. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that people it's almost like you have to force yourself to spend more time and focus more these days because there's so many distractions. I mean, you could spend a whole day watching 2-minute videos on TikTok and not even know what happened.
Right, exactly.
There's a giant rabbit hole, right? You just jump from one to the next video and then the day is gone and you have nothing to show for it.
Yeah, the retention too. At the end of the day, you go, well, what did I learn? Did I learn anything today? And actually, you probably don't even ask that question of yourself because you never thought about it.
Yeah, that's true.
I think they also kind of started when they started taking children's cartoons and they started chopping them up into these little short segments and then popping the commercials in. And then younger people started only looking at packets of information instead of looking at a story from the beginning, the middle, and the end. They were just going from packet to packet to packet. And I suppose for a lot of younger people, they were accustomed to getting their entertainment that way.
Yes. And I think that our attention spans are getting shorter. Like who sits down and reads a book anymore? It's become more unusual, and the longer videos, I don't know if they're getting as much attention, but I really like to watch longer videos if I'm going to watch a video or listen to a podcast.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah,
that's what's
really
nice
good
about podcasting is that you can really get some in-depth information. So it's not focused on the quick fix or the instantaneous moment that you would get on TikTok.
Well, and also they're a little more flexible. You can listen to it in your car. You can listen to it when you're going for a walk, a jog, or whatever, instead of having to be looking at a screen.
That's so true.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, Carol, how long do you recommend someone take to maybe schedule some of their social media things? I know there's lots of different apps you can use, but how long does it take, like hours and hours each day, or is there a certain amount of time you can do and then you've done it and you don't have to keep like mining your social media?
Well, it depends on how much you want to be posting. Like if you just want to make one post a day, then that could be pretty fast.
Yeah.
And there are schedulers. I know some people will argue with me over whether you should use a scheduler or not, but I think that they can really save your sanity.
Yeah.
Do you use schedulers?
Because you can't be online.
I know you have to. I know you make a lot of posts for various clients, and you have to think all that through, and then you have to post them. Do you use schedulers?
I do use schedulers. I'm also online so that I can engage with people. And I have to be online at least once a day for clients.
And that would be if somebody makes a comment and let's say they make a post on Instagram or you make a post on Instagram and they make this long comment about, I really like this, love that, interested in this. And then you have to reply to them, right? Yeah.
They'll say, I really like that. Is there do you have an online store? And then I have to say, yes, here's the URL for the online store, or you could go over here, or no, we don't have an online store, whatever the case may be.
Right.
And how time consuming is that?
I use a timer always. I'm back in the day when I first started, I used an actual egg timer because I could hear it and then not spend too much time. When the timer went off, that would be it. I'd be done.
That's a great idea.
Now it is called NOCO timer. And so I can actually track my time and say, okay, this is how much time I want to spend. Like I want to spend 15 to 20 minutes, for example.
Well, if you make a post, did 20 people, if you're lucky enough to have 20 people or more, make a comment back, and then don't you feel compelled to answer every single comment, or do you just say, okay, I'm only going to do it so many minutes today and that's it?
Well, again, it depends on, like, for example, the size of your following. Like if you're Elon Musk, because he's in the news a lot today.
Yes.
He's not going to be able to answer every comment. He might answer one comment, because he has millions of followers, I think. But if you're a small account and you only have 250 followers, then you're probably able to interact more with people.
That's true, because your audience isn't so big that you can't see their responses at that point.
Right.
Right on.
So you have to decide.
Being interactive, I guess one of my major takeaways right now is the importance of being interactive with the people you're talking to or communicating with.
That's right.
Okay.
But as you get more popular, it's harder to interact with every single person.
That's true.
I have one client and they're up over 5,000 followers now on Twitter. And so I can't interact with every single person, everybody who likes or retweets. But there's some people who are regulars, and if they're retweeting a lot or sharing a lot or commenting a lot, then, every once in a while it's good to go and say, thank you so much. I appreciate what you're doing. And, you're the best. Something like that.
That makes sense.
And then I have a question related to my own social media, but I know everybody experiences this, is every time I make a post, I have a whole group of people that, it's a love fest between us and them and us. And they always give you a heart or make a quick comment or that. And then because they're so kind and they're taking their time and they're really great people, I always feel like I need to respond in kind. And sometimes that could be fairly timey. Take a lot of time.
It is timey.
It is timing.
Yeah. And I think you also have to think about, if you're going to share something because somebody shared something of yours, you have to, you can try to find something that they've posted that's your audience might like, right? But what if it's a mortuary and, you're,
oh my gosh,
or I'm just as an example, and your followers don't have anything to do with mortuary services, then that might be a little awkward.
You know what? That's a good point, because a lot of followers that you really get to know and you really like them, they always say really cool things about your stuff. But then when you look at some of their posts, you're going, well, you know what? I don't know how I'd really share with anyone. They just wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they might think I'm being, disingenuous by doing it.
That's true.
Well, in that case, I usually just thank people. If they've shared something or, they're a real big fan, I'll just thank them.
Right. That's all. I think that's all you can do at that point. So, you're engaged, but yet, sometimes you just can't share what they have or retweet or whatever is going on, because it's just not appropriate, for what your space is.
Yeah, but I think everybody faces that.
Yeah, I think,
no matter what platform you're on.
Right on.
That's true. That's true.
This is a very broad question that I have, and it can go a lot of different directions, but I know that you'll present it the way that we should be able to understand it. But could you give us a definition of what digital communications is, and then its benefits on CX? And CX means customer experience, and everybody is talking about that. Even the big companies who try to avoid it, now they've all embraced customer experience because it's become so important, and it's really the only true way to retain customers or an audience. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Okay. Well, digital communications, wow, that's really a big topic, but it's anything like email, phone calls, video conferencing, and instant messaging, web chats, and of course, podcasts too. And social media, of course. So there's a lot going on these days, and there's a lot of ways for customers to feel empowered. And so that can be scary for some companies. So anybody can review anyone's business. So it's really important that businesses have great social media and customer service so they can keep their ratings high.
No, it's very important, especially with apps like Yelp and, like you said, Nextdoor and stuff like that, where very interactive. And if you've made someone not like your business for whatever reason and they talk about it, that could be very detrimental to your overall.
Yeah. I mean, or even just getting a hold of the right person. Like, like recently I was trying to get a hold of our local power company, which shall remain nameless, but I couldn't get to the right person, and I just kept getting into these different phone loops.
Yes.
So I got on Twitter, and the social media person got me to the right person really quickly.
Oh, that's great.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So, on social media, you can be visible to the whole world, and they don't want that. Whereas if you're on hold on the phone,
that's true.
It's just you and the company, and you feel very powerless. So, social media can really help customers to feel empowered.
Oh, that's such a good idea. So if you're not getting anywhere on being on hold or, doing an email or whatever, reach out to them via their social media or some other outlet like that. And then that way, maybe you can get a resolution as a customer.
Yeah, especially, big companies, phone companies, power companies, anything like that, because they will have social media. They will have a team on it.
Okay. That's very good advice, actually, because I know in this day and age, there seems to be less and less people addressing your customer service via the phone. And a lot of it's chat bots and things like that. And that takes forever sometimes. So this is really valuable advice.
Well, whereas if they have a team, then, that is a real person that you're talking to.
Exactly.
Well, exactly. It's good to know that they respond there, because you can get in a bunch of different rabbit holes when you call, and then you come back to dial one again.
Yeah, you're back to the beginning. Yeah. So frustrating.
Yeah, it makes it easy for them, but not for the consumer.
Exactly.
Yeah, but if you send a tweet, that's going to be visible to everybody, and it's in their best interest to answer that right away. If they don't want to look bad.
Oh, yeah, I could see that, definitely.
I've also noticed, though, on social media, probably Facebook more than other things, but there seems to be people that take a great deal of joy into trashing a product, thought, or idea.
My gosh.
It's unfortunate. I think they're
trolls.
Yeah.
I was just going to say trolls. They're so annoying. It's so odd and annoying.
Is there anything anybody can do about them?
Yeah, it depends on where you are. Like I've noticed recently on YouTube that they've really cut back on the trolling. I don't know how they've done it, but like you can't tell if somebody's downvoted a video anymore. So I really like that. And I appreciate it. On my own blog, I sometimes get, or I used to get negative comments occasionally on my blog. You have full control over your blog. That's your real estate. So It's like somebody coming into your home, and you can rewrite any comment if somebody leaves it there. So if somebody leaves me a negative comment, I can change it to say, "You're the greatest person in the world, and I wish I'd known you forever, and we should be best friends." And then they'll write back and say, "I never said that."
And it's like, well...
But you should have.
Well, yeah. We read your mind, and we put what you should have said.
If this is what you're is what you're really thinking.
Yes.
You just didn't know it.
Right. Well, Carol, I wanted to ask you about creativity. And I know what you do. You do a lot of creative things with your blog and with social media. That takes a lot of creative thought. What has been your driving force, and what would you tell others that want to follow their creative dreams?
Well, I like to write because I'm a writer, and in a previous lifetime, I was a tech writer for many years. So the thing I like about writing is that you can rewrite, you can change things, you can go back, and you can be flexible. If you make a mistake, you get a chance to rewrite it. So that's where I'm the most creative. You can also make things funny. You can insert jokes later if you want to. But I think if you want to follow a creative dream, I think it's important to have a plan before you make that leap.
Okay.
It's good to have a few paying customers, for example.
Yes.
Or you'll be couch surfing.
Yeah. You might want to eat.
Yeah. Otherwise, some of your dreams might stay hobbies for a while until you feel like you really can make that leap and you can make ends meet and, pay your bills.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Have a plan. Have a little plan at least.
Yeah.
To monetize
for me,
yourself.
I don't know. I need to be having fun with whatever business I'm involved with. That's what drives me is to be able to have fun.
Well, I think what you're doing is very rewarding. I mean, you obviously, you're good at it, and you also really enjoy it. That's probably one of the reasons why you're successful at it. I mean, it really requires those first two in order to make it a success. Oh,
well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You kind of answered this question, but I'm going to ask this question anyway. And it's, I think one of the reasons why you're so successful is because of your ability to write compelling copy for posts. And is there a secret that you would like to share on why you're so good at it? I'm not sure I could answer that.
That's a hard question.
I think if you can talk, you can write.
Oh, okay.
So if you can talk into, there's a lot of apps, for example, where you can talk to text. Mm-hmm. You can use one of those apps, and a lot of people think that they can't write, but maybe they just need an editor.
That's probably true.
Yeah. So
I mean, even the most famous writers in the world, Hemingway on Up or Down or Sideways, all had editors.
Yeah, they all had editors.
Yeah. Editors are like gold. And
they're really fun to argue with.
Yes, they really take their commas and all their punctuation very seriously.
Yes, they do. But it also makes it a little bit easier for the person reading it.
Of course. Yeah.
When did you really start writing?
I think I've been writing my whole life. That's one of my first memories. You had asked about early memories, and watching bigger kids writing in cursive back in the day. That really, I was so excited by that, that someday I would be able to write in cursive.
That's interesting, because now I don't know if children are.
I don't think they even teach cursive.
Yeah, because they're typing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Or keyboarding.
I noticed when I write.
I guess it's not called typing anymore. I need to get with it.
I notice when I write longhand, I call it.
Yes.
I spell better.
You do?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, when I scribble it out, it's a disaster. But if I take my time, and I have actually pretty good handwriting, I was surprised. I haven't visited a long time, but then I started doing it maybe a year ago or so, and I looked at it and I go, wow, I actually could spell these words, because I use, what's that Naturally Speaking program a lot?
Dragon.
I use Dragon.
Oh, Dragon.
Yeah, I use it on my iPad. That's what I write my stories with mostly. And then I'm lucky because Angie's a good editor. So I just slide it across the table and clean this mess up.
Yeah, this is where the comma police comes in, right?
But I think, you as a person who's quite accomplished in the social media space, being a writer is really kind of important, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah. I have a background in English, and, having written for so many years, I think is really helpful.
Well, especially maybe tech writing.
Other people can learn.
Okay.
Other people can learn to write more and better.
Well, if you also were writing technical papers or documents or whatever, or explainers, you have to convey it in such a way that somebody can actually understand what you're saying.
That's right. You have to really know your audience.
Or technical writing.
So it's interesting to write on a technical level, but how that translates into just, I think, doing social media, because that is sort of technical when you think about it, because you have to convey information to your audience, and it's really the same thing. And like you said, if you can talk, you can write. And I think that's where people freeze up. Don't you think, Carol, where they just go, oh my God, I'm writing, and they freeze and they don't know what to do at that point.
Yeah, but when they're talking, they're not freezing up.
Right.
So, yeah. So I think, using something like Dragon Naturally, I think that's the name of it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Can really help people.
Right. And I think Google Docs, even you can talk it in, and Word has a dictating portion
there's
too
a bunch
now.
of them out there.
Yeah. So you can.
Yeah. Even when you're
that.
texting, you can use talk to text, and you just have to clean it up a little bit, but
yeah,
it's pretty simple.
You didn't used to, but now you certainly do it. Now it has a mind all of its own. I don't know anybody that says I talked it in there and I swear I said it right. And then they look at it and they read it. Yep, it's perfectly right. And then 2 minutes later, they look at it and it's totally jumbled up.
It's crazy
Sometimes
words.
it happens at the very last second.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just then it's too late. You already pressed send and it's all wrong.
Yes, exactly.
That happens to me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it does. Not a good place to have it happen.
No.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's see. I'm looking at my question here, and I'm curious how you're going to answer this. And this: how do you create an online media audience for yourself as a on social media?
Well, first I would choose which social media platform you want to be on. So, is that Twitter? Is it Facebook? Is it LinkedIn? And then, the way you speak will be a little different depending on the platform. Okay. So LinkedIn is more formal. Mm-hmm. Twitter is a lot more casual. But then you should start talking with the kinds of people you want as customers if you're there for business.
Okay.
Yeah, not just
so concentrate on customers then, and not necessarily followers, but customers.
Yeah. One thing I always tell people is, it's a vanity metric to have a lot of followers. I mean, it's good to have some followers because you don't want to be like, sort of singing in the shower by yourself.
Right. Right.
But, it is a vanity metric for the most part. I mean, it doesn't help you if you have 1 million followers, but nobody ever talks to you and you don't talk to anybody.
The big key is you don't talk to anybody. You have 1 million followers, because other people see your comments. And sometimes if I make a comment, I know other people will actually like or share that comment. I think that it doesn't happen often, but when it does, that's kind of special.
Yeah.
That happens on LinkedIn, as you probably know. Mm-hmm. And LinkedIn has a bit of a learning curve.
Yeah, it certainly does.
I think they all do in their own way. They've all become more complex.
Well, the whole digital world is always embracing new technology, and you would know that. What do you see is going to be the next big breakthrough in technology when it comes to people sharing images, thoughts, ideas, all of that online?
Well, right now we're moving towards more video, but that's been happening for a while now. I think the next big breakthrough in technology is going to be the metaverse. Mm-hmm. And that's more than just gaming. It's really people are living more and more online. I have a chat on Twitter every week, and we were talking about the metaverse last week, and it was really fascinating. So, people are wearing the headsets, and then they're interacting with people online through their headsets, and they have avatars, and, you could even have, say, a digital designer design your clothes or set up a menu for you in your virtual world.
There's digital art galleries.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really fascinating. It
is fascinating. I think I suppose that's all part of Web 3.0. And there's going to be people that are going to embrace it. And there's going to be people, it's kind of like, what was that called? Second Life?
I was going to say, this is like Second Life, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Very similar.
Way more technical. Yeah. Or, better ways of presenting it, I guess you might say.
Right, because Second Life's been around for a while now, so.
Yeah, so people are already spending lots of time in these virtual worlds.
How do you see you using that in your marketing business?
I don't know how that's going to affect my business, but, I have a stepson who's 14 and he is online all the time. He's got his headset and he's in there with his friends. And so he's the one I ask. He's the expert. And I think we all have to be willing to learn from other people, and especially really young people, because that's where the future is going.
Right.
So I'm not sure how it'll affect my business yet.
Okay, that's interesting because I think everyone's trying to get a barometer on how is the metaverse going to affect their business, or how can they promote their business, or how can they make, integrate it into their business.
Or how can they make money off of it? I mean, that's the whole idea between NFTs.
Right, exactly.
Non-fungible tokens, right?
Non-fungible.
And gaming.
What did I say? Fungible.
Fungible.
Well, that's deliberately I say it that way.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting because you can demo a product. I mean, you can actually have the consumer walk into your showroom, and through your avatar, you could say, if you buy this color for your hair, your hair will turn this color. And the avatar shows the hair in the particular color.
That's true.
It's a reach, but it can be done.
You could do that, I guess. Yeah, that's true. You're talking about your stepson really, getting into the metaverse and different things online like that. And do you think that there is a healthy amount of time people should spend online? Do you limit his time?
For myself, I really have to get offline at least one day a week, just completely offline. But I think it's better if it's a whole weekend. That's what I've done. Right.
Vacation for you, for brain.
Yeah, vacation. And then sometimes if I go on vacation, I'll have somebody else take over for me. Because I just think it's really important to sometimes do nothing.
Yeah, and let your brain rest.
Just have the chance to be bored. We're also over entertained and overstimulated, and it's important to get rest and sleep and do something that's completely unrelated to social media and completely offline.
And that's when you'll discover you'll have your best creative, innovative ideas. They'll all flow into an uncluttered mind.
True.
They do not flow into a cluttered mind. Yeah, exactly.
Shower is one of those times too.
We're all aware of that possibility. We do that quite often.
So true.
Yeah.
Now, Carol, is there a good time to make posts on social media, or is there a certain topic that always gets engagement? So if you don't have an idea of what to post, this is tried and true.
It depends on when your audience is online. So for me, for a lot of my clients, I think 7 or 8 in the morning is a good time. Morning time is pretty popular. For other social media platforms, like Pinterest is around 6:30 p.m. So people will go home and then, or if they're already home, they're done with their regular work and then they'll get on Pinterest.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Whereas for LinkedIn, it's more earlier in the day.
Yeah.
And you can use your own analytics if you have a business account to see when your audience is online.
Okay, that's good to know. So there are things we can look at.
Yeah, it's good to experiment a little bit too. But you will have a different crowd depending on what time of the day you're online. There still might be people there, but it's going to be different people that, early in the morning as opposed to late at night.
Okay.
Was your focus strictly domestic or international, or both?
I've had both. Right now, it's mostly domestic. I've had clients as far away as Turkey.
Okay. That's a really different audience than the United States, for sure.
It is, but they wanted to grow their audience in the United States. So, they manufactured clothing and they wanted to grow their business here in the U.S. So,
and we have a lot of Turkish followers, and we have people from Turkey. Well, part of that is because Angie is Turkish, so she can generally speak the language.
Most of the time.
But they pick up on your name.
Yeah, well, because it's a Turkish name. So
interesting.
Yeah.
So if she makes a post on Angie Jones, they say, Angie, she must be Turkish. So they'll make a comment on that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
And our listeners are from all over the world. I mean, it's kind of amazes us where they all come from.
Very cool.
It is. And there are some incredible, talented people in this world. And we've been fortunate enough to chat with a few of them. But the one thing about social media now is it's so interconnected. You can, and then
very
also
global, very global.
Yeah. And then with Google Translate,
Yeah, it's wonderful. Even if you don't speak a language, you can communicate and send someone back a message.
Well, that Japanese company that does the really heavy duty foundry work.
Yes.
I love looking at their stuff.
Oh, I know.
They don't speak a word of English, and I don't speak a word of Japanese.
Yeah.
But I make comments on their stuff, and I know that's what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And I'll do it in the calligraphy form, and then they'll send me back a message, and I look at it, and we actually have some pretty amazing conversations. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I do that sometimes with that. Cool. Yeah. If anybody, people that are listening to this, if you want to talk to somebody in another part of the world and you don't speak their language, use Google Translate, and people pick up on that so fast, and they are so appreciative of you taking the time to talk to them.
Yes, that's really true. Now, as far as topics that always get engagement, I think it's changed a little bit because of the pandemic, but cute animals are always good and flowers are good. So, but people also want to be entertained. So something funny and cute will probably get more attention.
Okay. So if you're at a loss, you got suggestions here on what you can post. So you can't say, I don't know what to post. You can post something, right?
Yeah. Take a picture of your cat with your cell phone.
Right.
Yeah. There you go.
And convince the cat to perform instead of just laying there glaring at you.
Oh, good luck.
Yeah. Cats have a mind of their own. Definitely.
Well, I'd like to ask you this question. Pursuing any type of career, especially one that depends upon self-motivation, I'm curious how you handle it when the creative muse doesn't seem to be around anywhere.
I think it's funny that people wait for the muse to strike. The best advice for me has always been to apply the seat of your pants to the seat of the chair.
I like it.
So I write every day. I create something every day, whether I feel like it or not. I think that that's important to do, especially if you're self-employed and not independently wealthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, though, really.
But that said, some people might work better at a certain time of the day. So if you're a morning person, then you might want to do your creative work in the morning, and you can do some of the boring stuff like the filing and the paperwork when you're feeling less creative, in the evening or later in the afternoon, for example.
Yeah, and most people come to the conclusion that you just need to do it and not say, oh, I'm waiting for inspiration. Inspiration is there if you just decide to sit down, like you said, get in your chair and make it happen. I like that. Yeah. I like that, Carol. It was very good.
That's so good.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I guess we're getting to the end of our program now. That went by fast. But, Carol, we always ask a question of our guests, and that is if you could sit on a park bench and chat with anyone from the past, who would it be?
Oh, wow. I think I'd go back in time and visit my great-grandparents or even their parents, because I don't know anything about them on either side of the family. And I think I could really learn a lot about what the world was like before modern conveniences, what their values were, what their hopes and dreams were like, what their world looked like. It's one thing reading about history, but it's another thing actually being able to hear about it from somebody who actually was there.
Oh, yeah. That would be fascinating, wouldn't it? Just to hear their stories.
Yeah. And be able to go back.
Mm-hmm.
What I think is very interesting is how many times people have mentioned their grandparents.
So many times.
That's probably the number one thing is people say, some people, unfortunately, that had lost one of their parents at a relatively young age, they want to speak with them, and that makes sense. But a lot of people say, I really like to chat with my grandparents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I could see why you would want to say that. There's so many stories you can learn from them for sure.
And the history.
Especially if you lost your grandparents or, I didn't really get a chance to know my grandparents. So that would be a great opportunity.
Yeah, that way you can get to know them a little better. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, Carol. we've really learned a lot from our discussion today. But before we say goodbye, could you tell us in a few words what your favorite social media platform is for you?
Well, I've always been a big fan of Twitter. It's always been my favorite. I have to say, for a lot of reasons, I really find that there's more freedom of expression. It's easier to talk to people, and I've met more people through Twitter than on any other platform.
Okay.
That could be because I spend more time there.
That could be.
I find people there to be generous and funny and quirky, and it's also a really fast way to get the news.
Yeah, definitely for that.
Become our virtual town hall.
Yeah, that's how I built. That was the social media that I built the fastest in the beginning.
That's true. That's very true.
I know you guys have a lot more followers than I do, but I was up there, 20,000 or more. And I built that all by doing what Carol said.
Just by being friends with people. Yeah.
And making comments and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I could see why you would really enjoy that one. And you're very successful at it. So it makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Well, Carol, thank you for that quick answer. And I know Elon will thank you as well. And it's an important one because it's interesting to know what different platforms people use. But now comes the time I need to let everyone know if you would like to know more about Carol Steffen. We will have links for her under the show guest tab on ThoughtRowPodcast.com so everyone can learn more about her, and please connect with her on social media and her website.
It's the easy thing to do is connect with her on social media. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Carol.
Oh, thank you so much for this opportunity. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I appreciate all your effort in putting this podcast together.
Well, okay. Well, we will see you on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn.
And so forth.
And so forth.
And so on.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Thank you again.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Also, if you're enjoying our podcast, both Rod and I would really appreciate you buying us a cup of coffee. Just go to ThoughtRow.com, scroll down a bit, and you can find that link right on our website on the homepage.
It's really easy to do, by the way.
Yes, it is.
And all the money we receive goes to our production costs.
Yep.
And primarily because we want to keep our show commercial free, and we want to continue to bring you the best quality content with great guests.
That's right. Thank you for listening to Thought Row Podcast.
I'm really glad you tuned in today. We hope you enjoyed the thoughts and ideas we shared with you.
We post a new podcast every week, so remember to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss an episode. So it's bye for now from my husband Rod and I, wishing